So yesterday we have discussed about the different methods to enrich our ore, or you can say to concentrate our ore, by using magnetic separation and froth flotation process. Now we will continue with the next topic, that is extraction of crude metal from concentrated ore. After obtaining the concentrating ore by those two processes, especially which are explained in our chapter, magnetic separation and froth flotation, so still we'll not be able to find a pure metal, because at up to the last step metal can react with the gases also. Okay, they can form oxides, they can form sulfide, they can form carbonates. So there are different types of processes to separate out gases from these elements, so that we can obtain a pure form of metal. Okay, so after this the concentrated ore must be converted into a form which is suitable for reduction. Okay, after this concentrated ore, it must be first converted to a specific form that must be reduced. Okay, so usually the sulfide ore is converted to oxide before reduction. Oxides are easier to reduce for the reason I will show you this thing when we go down to the chapter. The isolation of metal from the concentrated ore involves two major steps. So what happened? The most easiest form to reduce is oxide ore, because it is quite easy to separate, or you can say remove oxygen from the metal. There are so many processes, since oxygen generally react with most of the things. Okay, so there are different types of processes, there are different types of easy methods you can remove oxygen from the metal surface, or you can say you can just reduce that oxide form to a normal oxygen. It can react with other and will get the pure element, or you can say the metal. So there are different types of steps which involves. So first one is conversion to oxide. So whatever the form of crude metal is, or you can say the concentrated ore is, you have to convert it to up to the level of oxide. Okay, next is reduction of oxide to metal, and second step is you have to reduce that metal oxide and obtain a pure metal. So on this we have first process. First is a conversion to oxide. Number one is cancellation. Calcination means it involves heating when the volatile metal escapes, leaving behind the metal oxide. So what happened? We know this thing that each and every substance has the specific melting point and specific boiling point. So when you keep on heating your metal, since metal has high melting point, or you can say boiling point, or at that the temperature at which the bond between the metal break is very high as compared to the bond between a metal and a gas. So since when you keep on heating your ore, what happened? The oxide will escape out even by combining, or it can escape out from the system as it is. So there are different types of reaction. First is, for example, let's just go to first iron, Fe2O3 dot XH2O solid form, and when you keep on heating, what happens? The water will remove out and you will get Fe2O3 iron oxide, you can say ferrous oxide. Next, ZnCO3, when you keep on heating this, you will obtain ZnO, and CO2 will leave the system as gas. And you can collect this CO2 by using charcoal, or you can collect all those gases by using different things. Charcoal is used, silica gel is used. This thing we have learned in previous chapter, this is surface chemistry. Okay, next is CaCO3, MgCO3. When you keep on heating, you will get calcium oxide, magnesium oxide, and carbon dioxide. So now what is the first motive? To convert your concentrated ore to oxide form, and first process is calcination. Next one is roasting. In roasting, the ore is heated in a regular supply of air in a furnace. Furnace is the chamber-like thing in which we used to perform our experiment at a temperature below the melting point of the metal. But the specific thing which we have to keep our mind is you have to uh, take that much temperature which is below to the melting point of your particular metal. If you increase the temperature up to the melting point, the metal will get melt and will not get a pure form. So some of the reaction which involves sulfide ores are ZnS plus O2 gives ZnO, gives SO2. ZnS, these are the sulfide ores. For the carbonates and the water containing ore, we use calcination, means normal heating, and for conversion of sulfide ore to oxide, we use roasting process. Okay, we used to give a normal supply of air to the ore and heat it. So what happened? The gas will combine the your sulfur will combine with the oxygen and form SO2, sulfur dioxide, and you will obtain a pure form of oxide metal, oxide form. So ZnS plus O2 gives ZnO, SO2. PbS plus O2 gives PbO and sulfur dioxide. Copper sulfate plus oxygen gives copper oxide and SO2. So the sulfide ore of copper are heated in reverberatory furnace. If the ore contain iron, it is mixed with silica before heating. Why silica? Because it absorbs the air. Na? Silica gel is used to separate out the air from the mixture, or you can say from your compound. Where you want to use is where you want to remove the gas out of it, you used to use silica gel because it absorbed on the surface. Absorb is when the substance go to the bulk, and adsorption is when the surface just stick, when the particles just stick to the surface of the compound or the substance which you are taking for separation. So iron oxide, slag, or iron silicate and copper are produced in the form of copper mate, which contains CuS plus Fes. So slag is what? Slag is the iron oxide, or you can say it is act as iron silicate, and the reaction is Fe plus SiO2 gives FeSiO3, and this is commonly known as slag. So what is this? This is the reverberatory furnace. So what happened? Now you have a proper arrangement where you can, through which you can enter the air and oil. Why air and oil? Because our mixture has two parts. One is hydrophobic and one is hydrophilic. Means one can react with the gases and one can mix with the oil. So that is why we used to enter oil and air together. Next is the furnace charge silica and this charge hoopers, through which we will just enter our ore, and these are the hangers, these are the tie rods with which this furnace is connected. So what happened, whenever we just we just put the concentrated ore into these hoppers, so what happened, it just enter to the furnace, it react with the air particles and form oxide there. And silica is just used to trap the extra air from the chamber. Next is reduction of oxide to metal. Reduction of metal oxide usually involve heating it with some other substances acting as a reducing agent. So what is reducing? When we heat the metal oxides generally and in the presence of a reducing agent. So for reduction we require a reducing agent, and that can be copper or this carbon and carbon monoxide and some other metals. Okay, so the reducing agent, example carbon, can combine with the oxygen of the metal oxide and form carbon dioxide. So what happened? We require a strong reducing agent so that it can extract or it can combine with that oxygen which is earlier present with our main metal. Okay, and take it away. After that, we'll obtain a pure metal there. So some metal oxide get reduced easily while other are very difficult to be reduced. So reduction means electron gain and electronation. So reduction means like electron gaining. So what happened? Some of the metal oxide they just reduce like easily. Where we add carbon, the oxygen leave the metal surface and combine with the carbon, form carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide. It depends on the number of oxygen atoms or number of oxide which you are taking to perform the experiment. Okay. So in any case, heating is required to understand the variation in the temperature required for thermal reduction or pyrometallurgy, and to predict which element will suit as the reducing agent for a given metal oxides. Gibbs energy interruption are made. So there are a specific parameters which are use, or which we have to understand, that we can use this reducing agent to perform this experiment. हम हर जगह पे कार्बन को या कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड को नहीं ले सकते हैं. We can't take both these two only. So there is a specific reason, there are the specific condition which we have to keep in our mind while selecting the reducing agent. Second, by selecting the temperature and the environment where you are performing the experiment. To create an environment, there must be some standard, specification should be there. Specific temperature, specific your reducing agent, Gibbs energy, and so many things which are related to your reactions. So by while performing the reaction, we used to just think about these important aspects. So after consideration, we used to select our reducing agent on the basis of that. So, let's just talk about first extraction of iron from its oxide. So iron ore, or you can say oxide ore of iron, after concentration through cancellation and roasting to remove water, to decompose carbonate and to oxidize sulfide, are mixed with the limestone and coke and fed into a blast furnace from its top. I think blast furnace is there. This is the blast furnace. As you can see, we have the main ore, we have limestone, we have coke here. Okay, so many things are entered into the blast furnace from the top. Okay, after that, hence the oxides are reduced to the metals. The thermodynamics help us to understand how coke reduce the oxide and why this furnace is chosen. So thermodynamic means there are thermodynamics is like a big change in temperature. Why this coke reduces the oxide? What happened in the blast furnace? We'll understand this thing when we'll go down to the chapter. So one of the main reduction step in the process is Fe, iron oxide plus carbon. It gives FeS and carbon monoxide. Fe is, it can be solid or in liquid state. It depends on the temperature. It is not specific. Okay, it depends on the temperature of the furnace. We can obtain it in solid state as well as in liquid state. So it can be seen as a couple of two simpler reaction. In one, the reduction of FeO is taking place, and in other, carbon is being oxidized to carbon monoxide. So FeO plus FeO, when we keep on heating it and take the Gibbs energy to the level of iron, or to that level on which temperature the oxygen can leave the surface of iron. So what happened when we keep on heating this iron below to the temperature or boiling point of iron, because since we know this thing that the boiling point of iron is very high. So when we heat the iron oxide up below the boiling point of iron, what happens? The oxygen will remove out automatically. Okay, the bond between the iron and oxygen that breaks. After that, this oxygen will combine with the carbon which is present as a reducing agent in that furnace, so, and form a carbon monoxide. So let us talk about the blast furnace. What is blast furnace there? Because we have just read this thing that this reaction, total reaction, extraction of iron is performed in the blast furnace. So let's just understand what blast furnace is. In the blast furnace, reduction of iron oxide takes place in different temperature range. So there are a specific, or you can say different temperature range in the blast furnace. So hot air is blown from the bottom of the furnace and coke is burnt to give temperature up to 2200 Kelvin in the lower portion of itself. As you can see this. What happened? The air entered, the blast of air, hot air entered. So what happened? entered from the downward position, from the lower, or you can say from the bottom of the furnace. Okay. Next, and that increased temperature up to 2200 Kelvin. Next, the burning of coke therefore supplies most of the heat required in the process. And when coke burns, so what happened? It supplies a large amount of heat. Burning of coke supplies the large amount of heat which is required to perform the experiment. Okay, so the carbon monoxide and heat moves to upper part of the furnace. So after this, when heat increase, when the temperature increases, it will start moving in the upper portion of the furnace. So in upper part, the temperature is lower, and the iron oxide Fe2O3 and Fe3O4 coming from the top are reduced in step 2 Fe oxide. So what happened when we just entered, when we just put from the top these iron oxides from the top of the furnace. So what happened? They were just reduced to normal iron oxide. So thus the reduction reaction takes place in the lower temperature range, and in the higher temperature range depend on the point of corresponding intersection in the they gives energy and your versus temperature plot. So they just take a plot, or you can say this, they just take a margin of Gibbs energy and your temperature, and decide say on which range the total reduction takes place, how on which how amount, what type of temperature, you can say the amount of temperature is required to perform the reaction, and simultaneously it just changes the Gibbs energy also. Okay, so the reaction that can be summarized as follows. First, at 500 to 800, this is the lower range temperature in blast furnace. So 500 to 800, this reaction performs, where Fe2O3 plus carbon monoxide, and it gives Fe3O4 gives CO2. Next, the fourth step is when it is Fe3O4 when react with carbon monoxide, it gives Fe plus CO2, and when Fe2CO3 react with carbon monoxide, it reduces to FeO and gives carbon dioxide. So these are the reactions which performed at low range of temperature. Next, at 900 to 1500 Kelvin, the higher temperature range in the blast furnace. So at that time, your carbon react with the carbon dioxide and form, it just reduce it and form two carbon monoxide. Since we have two carbon and two oxygens here, they just combine together and form two carbon monoxide. And your FeO, which obtained in the last reaction, so it gets combined with this carbon monoxide and form iron and carbon dioxide. So the main reducing agent is carbon here. ठीक है, and we are reducing Fe2O3 and Fe3O4 here. So we just keep this thing in mind that how many carbon we have to react, or how many carbon monoxide we have to react with our iron oxides to reduce it, and so that we can obtain a pure form of iron metal. All right. So limestone is also decomposed to calcium oxide, which removes silicate impurities of the ore from the slag. So limestone we used to enter from the top, and it also decompose into calcium oxide. So the slag is the molten state and separate out from the iron. So slag just is the beneath, or you can say at the bottom of your blast furnace, and it is found in the molten state. That is it gets separate out from the main iron. The iron obtained from the blast furnace containing about 4% carbon and many impurities in a small amount, just like sulfur, your phosphorus, silicon, manganese. So this is known as the pig iron and cast into a variety of shape. So this type of iron which have lots of impurities in it, this is known as the pig iron, and we can use pig iron to to perform to make different types of shape. To we used to use this iron to make our different types of items, daily use items. So cast iron is different from pig iron. So two type of iron will obtain after this, after performing the entire experiment. One is pig iron. This, you can say, pig iron is mixture of impurities with the iron, and cast iron is quite different from pig iron and is made up by melting pig iron with scrap iron and coke using hot air blast. So we when we keep on heating this pig iron and add coke into it, so we'll be able to remove so many impurities out of it. So it is the pure form as compared to the pig iron. Okay, so it is slightly lower carbon containing. It contains 3%. When we keep on heating, the carbon will remove out of the pig iron and is extremely hard and brittle. So where the requirement of hard means, comparatively if you compare both pig iron and cast iron, so pig iron is impure type because it contains small amount of impurities. Cast iron is quite pure as compared to pig iron. Pig iron is soft. We used to use this type of iron to make delicate thing, or you can say to make the those type of thing which can be mold easily, you know. But cast iron is you brittle and extremely hard. So where we use the hard iron, so this means that that iron is the cast iron, the pure form, comparatively pure form of iron, because it contains less number of impurities and as well as less amount of carbon. So as you can see in the diagram, so there is a temperature range. First is this 1070 Kelvin. When we go down is 1270 Kelvin. When we go down is 1570 Kelvin. And when we go at the bottom, because of the hot air, the temperature is 2170 Kelvin. And this is the molten iron. And two types of separation is there. First is this solid waste, and next one is the pig iron. So this orange one is the pig iron, which is impure form of iron there, and this the purple part is the solid iron. This is cast iron, because when it's keep on heating in the presence of the air, hot air, the blast of air, so it just there are removal of things are there. Okay, so as you can see, there are different types of reactions which are measured, which are already mentioned that at which temperature which reaction takes place. So you can get like 3 mark question on blast furnace. They can give you in not in board exam, especially in your internal examination. Metallurgy of aluminium. So in the metallurgy of aluminium, purified Al2O3 is mixed with the Na3, Alf6 and CaF2, which lowers the melting point of the mix and ring conductivity. The fused matrix is electrolyzed. Steel cathode and graphite anode are used. The graphite anode is useful here to reduce the metal. Why graphite? Because it contains the carbon. That is why we use graphite, and carbon is required to reduce the metal there, because we have oxide form of aluminium. So if you want to remove the oxygen, so we require a different type of electrode so that that can remove that oxygen from the metal. Okay, so as you can see, overall reaction is 2Al3 and 2Al2O3 gives plus carbon from the graphite gives Al plus CO2, and this process of electrolysis is known as Hall-Héroult process. And you can see this is the diagram. This is the chamber in which we are performing the experiment. This is the copper lining. This is the cathode. You can say copper lining is cathode. The outermost chamber is lined by the cathode. Next, anode is taken as the copper clamp, and this anode is what? Graphite, made up of graphite. Okay, so when we just this is carbon anode. So what happened when we put the molten Al2O3 plus Na3Alf4 into this chamber? So what happened when we just pass the electricity? What happened? They just start, the carbon of the graphite will start reacting with the aluminum oxide and the sodium aluminum. So what happened? We'll be able to remove this oxygen from this Al2O3. Okay, and we'll obtain pure aluminium. So pure aluminium, since its density is high as compared to your entire solution, so aluminium being metal, they just go down to the chamber, and we can just take the aluminum out from this outlet. All right, so that is how we used to do the electrolysis. So electrolysis means breaking down of your compound by using electricity. But apart of electricity, we used to keep one thing in our mind, which is about the electrode, because electrode plays an important role. If I take this a platinum in place of this graphite rod, will I'll be able to perform this reaction so effectively? No. At that time, I can just go for only boiling. I will keep on boiling this substance, and at a point, maybe so some sort of oxygen will remove out of this system, but will not get the pure form of matter. So that is why, by performing the electrolysis process, we used to keep one thing in our mind, that is about the electrode. Secondly, the amount of current, amount of charge which we are passing into our chamber. Okay, because that if you just pass low voltage, so that will not, I think, may carry your reaction so effectively. But if you take a proper amount of charge, that will dissociate your aluminum and oxygen effectively, and you will get your pure aluminum. All right.